So we have a very nice product outside the park where we do specifically landscapes with camel thorns, astrophotography and so on, and you're free to roam and select your foreground as you wish without the restrictions of the park. And we feel it's one of those greatest opportunities still photographically to be explored. So what we do is specifically from a gallery point of view, Heinrich, the post-production guy, he does quite a lot of the fade images, and we'll explain to you now how it's done, but this is the typical example of what they look like. The very signature of the Kalahari, and we frame them in a sort of a box frame, white, very popular as fine art, and requires a bit of artistic foresight to actually do. What needs to happen is you need to actually try and get the image that is quite cleanish around the back, because it's very difficult to go and clean up in Photoshop in between of these branches. So what we do is we underexpose quite dramatically in the camera itself or post-production, and then if there is the odd branch or so, we take it out, but it is an image that you need to select correctly. As you can see over there, you can remove some of the foreground interest over there, but over there it's basically the sky that's burnt out with curves, and we'll at some stage go in more detail about that.
What happened here is in December, Christmas, I took this as a Christmas night shot, and Heinrich stitched a couple of images together, and it looked quite superb. And we came back to do this actual image, and look what happened is the wind blew over the Camelthorn, exactly what we say. The nest becomes so heavy that the branches break down. But it must have been quite a big storm, because I see quite a lot of Camelthorn trees being blown down. But now you can see a sociable weaver's nest right up. This, like I explained, this is a Camelthorn tree that on Christmas Eve, when I was here alone, I used this as a night photography subject, or low light subject, or star trails, or call it what you want. And this boykie was still up there, and the sociable weavers were quite active. And this is a typical example of what happens with the Camelthorn trees when the sociable weaver nest gets very heavy, is they actually break down branches like that. With a strong wind in the beginning of summer, this is what happens. We found two other trees that were here in December, and it's blown down. But I mean, this is a good example of what the sociable weaver's nest look like from right below them. That's the angle that you normally don't get, because they'll be coming in from the bottom with the twigs and so on. And over here you can see one of the nests is white, and that's where the pygmy falcon was living in. And one of them, I don't know if you can see it from there, we'll show you one now. But this is a colony of about 150 sociable weavers that lived in this nest, and they just disappeared. And I'd like to see where they started fresh. Okay, so this is the normal Camelthorn tree, part of the Acacia species. Some basic facts about this is it is one of the first or the only Acacia tree that gets its nitrogen from groundwater and not from the air. So what this tree does is it grows for the first 1 to 4 years very slowly above ground, and then it sends it shoot down into the ground until it finds suitable underground water, and then as soon as that happens, it starts growing faster on top. So and the root system can go down about 40 meters underground. So and they get to around about 300 years old, they reckon. Some facts about the pods and so on. If a tree like this is about 9 years old or 9 meters high, it can drop about 50 kilograms of pods a year, and a tree of 10 meters, just a meter higher, can drop to 500 kilograms of pods a year. So the pods are important. They drop them in autumn, so that in winter they are good feeding for the animals. The pod itself is got a very rich protein content. You can grind it, or the traditional people used to grind it and make a maize and a porridge of it.
there are some medicinal qualities in the barks. I've done certain parts of the barks, like a grandpa of a powder, and use it for headaches. The glue that you get from the tree is preferred by a lot of animals, and indeed the gompo in Afrikaans, or the corrie bastard, the gom means glue, it comes directly from the glue or the gom of the camelthorn tree. The camelthorn also loves sandy areas, very sandy ground, like for instance in the Kalahari Desert, and it's probably, as far as I'm concerned, it's the nucleus of certain microhabitats that you get within the desert. In the Kgalagadi Transfrontier and around the Transfrontier, where there's huge camelthorn trees, there's a whole community of insects and animals living in and around and under these trees. It's also very nice for leopard to drag their prey up into a big camelthorn, because the other trees are just too small to hide their prey in. And those guys that know the big leopard in the Kgalagadi, they'll always be very close to their normal territory, but very close to very big camelthorn trees where they can hunt very effectively from. And indeed, you've seen all the sociable weavers. I mean, because the tree is so strong, the sociable weavers make massive nests in them, and like we've seen yesterday, the nest grows so big that and so heavy that during the beginning of the rainy season and the storms, the wind then breaks down the big branches of the camelthorn trees, which starts a whole new ecological development on the soil, where it allows grasses to grow from and other shrubs, and provide hiding place and breeding place for other little reptiles and insects and small mammals. So, without going into too much scientific detail, that's some general knowledge for the general Kgalagadi photographer or the visitor and so on. But very important is everyone sees camelthorn wood being advertised and sold as braai wood or barbecue wood, for those that don't understand Afrikaans. And indeed it's got a very cinnamony flavor or it adds a cinnamony flavor to the meat and the stuff that you do braai or barbecue. But I mean, these are protected trees, and they've been removed by their thousands to plant potatoes and all sorts of other things that most probably are necessary. But just from a conservation point of view and a photographer's point of view, these are magnificent giants, and to be able to come to the Kalahari and then drive underneath these guys or sit underneath them in the midday sun is indeed one of the greatest privileges of being in the Kalahari. Thanks for watching, and make sure you make those comments or questions below. Like if you haven't liked, and share the video. See you next time.